I want a government that spends less, regulates less, and taxes less.
Amid more downbeat economic news, President Bush works to convince voters he has a plan to fix the economy. Good news tonight for millions of American workers who need help with their kids and with their parents. Also, Eye on America. Tonight, about race, power, and crack cocaine. What could be the political comeback of the year.
But I love you. Be strong, be good.
This is the CBS Evening News. Good evening, Dan Rather reporting. More news for concern about the economy. The government says businesses are planning further cutbacks in their capital investment plans, and the line for unemployment benefits grew longer again. Trying to fix the economy has become the #1 issue in the presidential campaign. President Bush says the U.S. economy is poised to take off again, and today he came forward with a new and revised plan about how he would do that. Susan Spencer is at the White House. Susan?
And Mr. Bush today used a speech in Detroit to spell out in detail what he would do about the U.S. economy. It was a speech many Republicans felt was long overdue.
The man with the plan, President George Bush.
The plan's ambitious goal is to double the size of the U.S. economy by the year 2000. With a conservative agenda, Mr. Bush said differs sharply from his opponents.
I want to stimulate entrepreneurial capitalism, not punish it. I want to empower people to make their own choices, not yoke them to new bureaucracies. I want a government that spends less, regulates less, and taxes less.
With the Cold War over, Mr. Bush said, it's time for lowering trade barriers around the world. And in what was clearly supposed to be a peak at a glorious second term, he repeated calls for job training, education, and health care reform. As for taxes, the president also again suggested an across-the-board tax cut, perhaps he said 1%. A checkoff so voters can allot some of their taxes to the deficit, business incentives, and a cut in the capital gains tax. The money would come from a spending freeze on domestic programs and a cap on the so-called entitlements. Benefit programs like Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, veterans benefits could take a big hit.
And I will streamline the government, consolidating agencies, tightening budgets, and cutting the salaries of highly paid federal employees. And I'll start by cutting the White House budget 33% if the Congress cuts its own budget by the same amount.
In the hall, at least, it went over big.
I think his emphasis on lower taxes, less government spending, and more economic growth was just what we were waiting for.
Some economists were more restrained.
I think the president has it exactly right. People would like to see the federal government get a little bit smaller, except that they don't want any of their favorite programs cut. And they would like to have a tax cut. The problem is that that doesn't add up to deficit reduction.
Most economists agree that there is very little the president can do to affect the economy before the election. But now, 3.5 years into his term, he does at least have an agenda for after the election, should he need it. Dan?
Susan, this morning's newspapers headlined President Bush saying that he would not increase taxes again, quote, ever, ever. The Democrats said today they already flip-flopped on that. Where does all that stand?
Well, there's a little bit of confusion about that today, Dan, but right now that stands in deep denial. This was one of those instances of what the president really meant to say coming from his spokesman. And what he apparently really meant to emphasize was simply that he is opposed to higher taxes. We were told emphatically this was not another pledge, not another read my lips, no new taxes. He got burned on that one too much the first time around.
Susan Spencer at the White House. Now for an update on the Clinton economic plan, correspondent Richard Threlkeld here in New York. Dick?
Dan, all this summer, all across the country, Bill Clinton's been talking about the troubles with the American economy by the numbers.
Most Americans are working harder today for less money than they were making 10 years ago, and most people in this crowd are too.
In 1980, America had the highest wages in the world, and now we're 13th.
10% of our country is on food stamps. Welfare and Medicaid rolls are growing at record rates.
And today, Clinton said George Bush's new economic plan is too little, too late.
The deficit would continue to grow because this plan does nothing to control health care costs and has a lot of accounting gimmicks in it. So this is more of the same. More tax cuts for upper income people and more deficits and less growth. We've tried this for 12 years. Now, just 2 months before the election, the president repackages it.
Unlike Mr. Bush, who wants the government to keep hands off the economy, Clinton promises to use the government to get the economy moving again and still cut the federal deficit by half in the next 4 years. He'd spend $220 billion on education, job retraining, public works, and communications. He'd pay for it by cutting the federal budget by $144 billion and by raising $150 billion in new taxes on corporations and taxpayers making more than $200,000 a year.
We will win again!
But Clinton's plan is based on a robust economic recovery, something that flies in the face of most forecasts. It's questionable whether he could get even a Democratic Congress to go along with his budget cuts, and whether there's really all that much money in taxing the wealthy.
If you want to reach that kind of revenue, you're talking about taxing everybody who makes over $56,000. So the euphemism is everybody over $200,000 or $250,000, whatever number you want to use. There aren't enough people there, there's not enough income there to really significantly affect total government revenue.
Most economists say the only realistic way to get a handle on the deficit is to raise everybody's taxes or start cutting entitlements, things like Medicare and Social Security. The only two presidential candidates who mentioned that sort of thing this year were Ross Perot and Paul Tsongas, and you know what happened to them. Dan?
Richard Threlkeld, thanks. Another note about politics and the economy. The International Monetary Fund is now calling on the United States and other industrial nations to raise taxes, cut spending, or both to get their budget deficits down. The International Monetary Fund warns that growing deficits are a serious threat to the world economy. Still ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, Congress passes the family leave bill again. President Bush says he'll again veto it. And the daycare network that more than 100 big businesses announced today.
2 days only. Sears Inventory Reduction Sale. Thousands of items are marked to move. Save 10 to 50% throughout Sears. Washers, dryers, refrigerators, all marked to move. All furniture, sofas, dinettes, and more. Hey, it's gotta go. Missy tops, pants, and Lee jeans, they're out of here at 25 to 40% savings. This sale absolutely ends Saturday. So, if you want to save money, get to Sears today.
You can count on me. Sears Robot Company.
People love the old type of granola, but didn't know it was loaded with fat. Introducing new Kellogg's low-fat granola. Lots of delicious whole grains, almonds, and raisins, but only half the fat of leading granolas. New Kellogg's low-fat granola. Great taste, half the fat.
Over here, Miss Lansbury?
Yes, please. Wow, if I lifted that, I'd need extra strength buffering for the aches and pains.
It's strong, huh?
Oh, yes, strongest dosage of aspirin you can buy.
You really believe in buffering?
I certainly do.
Shouldn't you discover the strength of buffering?
An answer today to a problem facing more and more Americans: how to keep a job and still care for the children and aging parents. Some of the country's biggest and best-known companies announced that they're setting up a network of care to help their workers cope. Ray Brady has details.
It's one of the biggest business collaborations ever. More than 100 companies are banding together to establish a nationwide network of family care services for their employees.
This commitment by companies is really heralding a new era for the ways in which companies are going to respond to the needs of families.
The business group is headed by blue-chip giants, including IBM, Johnson & Johnson, AT&T, and others. They'll spend more than $25 million to create or expand child and elder care programs in 25 states.
You could almost say the companies have no choice because today's workers are being squeezed. 19 million working women have children under the age of 13. And over the next 5 years, 40% of all workers will be worrying about care for aging relatives.
If I look just at the IBM company, our average age is about 40 years old in terms of our workforce, which means that a number of our employees are dealing with both child care issues and elder care issues.
Don't look on all this as corporate charity. Most employees will be paying for the care.
I like the teachers.
Yet the companies feel it's crucial to provide these community services for their workers. because without them,
they would have a lot of absenteeism because there aren't places like this. There aren't enough places like this.
When companies can get involved in making sure that the care that they get really meets the highest quality standards, it really helps the parents' ability to work.
Most major corporations are beginning to realize that unless they respond to the family needs of their employees, they're not going to be able to recruit or retain the best and the brightest.
the bottom line, says one specialist, the federal government spent only $39 million to improve child care services over the past year. In one move, these companies are coming close to matching that amount. Ray Brady, CBS News, New York.
Many American businesses oppose the family leave bill Congress approved today. So does President Bush. The bill would guarantee workers unpaid leave for family emergencies. Bob Schieffer reports on the election year showdown over it.
On this vote, the yeas are 241, the nays are 161.
The bill didn't pass until late this afternoon, but the debate was well underway before dawn. In this corner, Labor Secretary Lynn Martin, here, Democratic Congresswoman Pat Schroeder.
Listen, you just can't say things like that, Pat. Just writing letters isn't enough. There have been a lot of serious disagreements.
It was almost as bad on the House floor today.
I contend this bill is only about one thing: election year politics, pure and simple, or at least simple.
With all the nastiness, it's easy to forget the legislation itself is fairly simple. It requires businesses employing more than 50 people to give their workers up to 12 weeks of unpaid leave to care for family medical emergencies, ranging from newborn babies to sick children to elderly parents. Labor, women's groups, and senior citizen lobbies pushed for it. Big business said it was too costly and opposed it, and that was the line most Republicans took today.
The Democrats believe that for any problem that we have in society, what you need is more lawyers, more regulators, and more tax collectors. And that's exactly what they have in this bill.
But it was the women of the House, of both parties, who pushed hardest for the bill and finally prevailed.
If you think that a mom or a dad with cancer or a stroke needs a loving daughter or a son around, then vote yes today.
If family leave does not pass, we would be saying simply and bluntly that Congress does not have an interest in helping families.
The president vetoed similar legislation last year, but Democrats say if he vetoes it again, it will just underline that all the Republican emphasis lately on family values is nothing but talk. One reason they delayed the final vote on this bill until the campaign season was in full swing. So no matter how noble the objectives of this legislation, it came to a vote today mainly for political reasons. Bob Schieffer, CBS News at the Capitol.
The investigation of the House Post Office is expanding. A federal grand jury said today there was a conspiracy between post office employees and, quote, legislative officials to defraud the government. But the grand jury actually named only one person in a 3-count indictment today. The person named was the former chief of staff of the House Post Office, Joanna O'Rourke. Stay here with us now for more of the CBS Evening News, including an up-close report on South Florida farmers after the hurricane sowing seeds of hope.
For almost a century, America's had a love affair with the automobile. Today, the romance shifts into high gear with a revolutionary new financial vehicle that turns buying power into horsepower, plastic into steel. The GM MasterCard. It puts the power of the world's largest corporation in your wallet. It offers all the advantages of MasterCard, but every time you use it, GM will credit 5% of your purchase toward any new Chevrolet, Pontiac, Oldsmobile, Buick, Cadillac, or GMC truck. 5%. That could mean hundreds, even thousands of dollars in savings over and above any other discounts or rebates. And there's no annual fee. So if your heart still hears the call of the open road, the GM card can help you answer that call. The GM card, the new financial vehicle.
More tea, Daddy?
Sure, honey. Fill her up.
A short while ago, Mike Ward had a headache, but he couldn't postpone his tea party with one of the town's best hostesses. So he took a Motrin IB. The same medicine as in the Motrin doctors have prescribed for years, but in non-prescription strength. And now that his headache's gone, he can concentrate on the things that really matter.
Good tea, huh, Daddy?
It's excellent tea, Becky. Excellent.
Motrin IB, the relief of Motrin in non-prescription strength.
He's a priest. He's also accused of child molesting. Father, have you sinned? And think your seatbelt will save your life? Think again. The season premiere of Street Stories tonight.
In South Africa today, Nelson Mandela's African National Congress said it is willing to take part in a summit called by President de Klerk. But first, the ANC says the white minority government must do something to stop violence against blacks, including black-on-black violence. Each side blames the other for the massacre in a black homeland this week. Local troops killed 29 ANC protesters. In Washington, a Senate committee today approved $7 billion to help repair hurricane damage in Florida and Louisiana. But as correspondent Doug Tennell reports, in the rich farmlands of South Florida, much of the damage is beyond repair.
On the devastated farms of South Florida, the word is consumers should expect higher prices for fruits and vegetables across the country this winter, thanks to Hurricane Andrew.
Beans, peas, okra squash, you name it. There's not going to be any.
None?
Well, who's growing?
Some farmers are trying to grow, preparing their fields for winter crops like beans and tomatoes. But even the most optimistic have serious doubts.
The devastation to the industry is such that some of the industry will never be replanted, will never rebuild. So I don't know that we'll ever be where we were.
With local packing houses buried in rubble from the hurricane, there is almost nowhere to process the region's highly perishable produce. 4 of 5 local tropical fruit packing houses were wiped out, as were thousands of acres of mango, avocado, and especially lime groves. It will take years to replace them.
This part of Florida was the breadbasket of America for winter fruits and vegetables before Hurricane Andrew. It will not be this year, and probably not next year either. What frightens farmers here the most is that leaves their share of the market wide open to foreign competition in the years ahead.
The wind turned fully grown trees into tumbleweed, twisted miles of irrigation pipe, and cost Florida agriculture well over $1 billion. Even with the devastation so complete, some who have farmed here all their lives are determined to stay with it.
I really love this area, and I think a lot of people would say the same thing, that it's worth fighting for, and it's worth working hard for, and keeping our little piece of paradise down here.
In this little piece of paradise, all Hurricane Andrew left was fertile ground and the will to farm it. Doug Tennell, CBS News, Florida City.
Coming up next on the CBS Evening News, what we think is an especially interesting report, what you pay for prescription drugs. Are prices for some of the most commonly used drugs uncommonly high?
For painful gas, which would you choose? Your antacid or Gas-X, the tablet made for gas? It's extra strength, 100% simethicone to fight gas faster. Faster than your antacid. Fight gas right with Gas-X.
Your Chrysler, Plymouth, and Dodge dealers announce the wide-open Spacious Sale. A sale on America's lowest price 6-passenger cars. Spacious Acclaim from Chrysler, Plymouth. Spacious Spirit from Dodge. Both offer automatic. Plus now at no charge, air, tilt, tinted glass, cruise, and more. Yes, all at no charge. Now also with $1,000 cash back, up to $2,600 total savings for their lowest prices ever. Under $11,200. Now at your Chrysler, Plymouth, and Dodge dealers.
Every second of an asthma attack can feel like an eternity. That's why there's Primatene Mist. Primatene opens clogged breathing tubes fast when speed counts. Primatene Mist, fastest type asthma relief without a prescription.
This just isn't me. This just isn't my kind of love.
From Maine to California.
You're kidding me.
People just like you win thousands, win millions out of the blue.
Yes.
Miracles can happen for you.
Holy cow.
Publishers Clearinghouse, the house where dreams come true.
It took you all summer to get that killer tan, and you'd love to keep it. Your tanning salon says they can help, but it's what they're not telling you that could hurt you. Tomorrow on CBS This Morning.
Democrats and Republicans in Congress joined a consumer group today in criticizing the high cost of prescription drugs. They say the pharmaceutical industry is now preying on elderly and sick Americans. But as Edie Magnus reports, neither the president nor the Congress is threatening to do anything about this.
Sempre
The 20 prescription drugs Americans purchase most often are the ones going up the most in price, consumer advocates charge today. The group Families USA accused the drug makers of greed, saying big drug companies are now making profits that far surpass other industries.
And they're making those profits the old-fashioned way, by gouging consumers. That gouging is squeezing consumers dry.
The biggest offender, charges Families USA, is the maker of Premarin, an estrogen commonly prescribed for women at menopause. The group says the manufacturer hiked wholesale prices 2.5 times in 7 years. Other drugs which more than doubled in price: Inderol for hypertension, Lopressor for high blood pressure, Synthroid, a thyroid medication, and Xanax, an anxiety and sleeping pill. Then there's Naproxen, an arthritis drug. Families USA says its price was raised 10 times in 7 years. And Zantac for ulcers, Procardia and Capitan for heart disease, 8 price hikes during that same time. Most of these medications are taken primarily by the elderly. And even with private insurance or Medicaid, the elderly pay 2/3 of the cost of prescription drugs out of pocket.
And that's the terror that many elderly in particular people feel when they go to a doctor fearing that he is going to prescribe a drug which they cannot pay for.
The big drug companies oppose any attempts to regulate the industry, claiming that profits get poured back into the search for important new cures.
This industry has to remain very healthy and very vibrant for us to be able to bring those cures to the people who need them most, and they're the elderly people in the United States.
This wasn't the first time consumers have cried foul. But with the administration squarely on the side of the pharmaceutical industry and heavy lobbying by the drug companies themselves, the votes in Congress to contain drug costs just aren't there. Not yet, anyway. Edie Magnus, CBS News, New York.
A story of race, power, drugs, and politics coming up next on Eye on America.
A small touch, a certain look. It's the little things that are worth the most. Which is why every Delta faucet gives you more than you'd ever expect for the money. Giving you the money for those things you can't even put a value on. Delta, the way water is brought to life.
I love performing, though it's a lot more fun with an audience. I love sweet things, too, like Sun-Sweet pitted prunes. They're so tasty and fat-free. It's love, all right. It's Sun-Sweet.
If your business gives up the quality of AT&T International Long Distance and calls Italy with someone else, here's your big savings.
3 coins in the fountain.
Leaving AT&T doesn't make a lot of sense.
Winn-Dixie discounts greeting cards 40% every day. This $3 card cost me $1.80, and that's good because I buy cards for everyone. Happy birthday, Mom. Happy birthday, Dad. Happy birthday to the world's greatest boss. Well, I just found out that Winn-Dixie discounts all magazines 10% every day. Like this $1.99 people cost me only $1.79, so I can read about anything I want. Politics, Hollywood, people from outer space. Wow, Elvis found gardening in Trailer Park.
If you suffer from the common aches and pains of arthritis, doctors know that a safe and effective way to relieve them is something you may already have in your home. Extra strength Tylenol gel caps. Tylenol helps relieve arthritis pain without irritating your stomach, the way aspirin or even ibuprofen can. What should you take for your arthritis pain? Talk to your doctor. The answer may be closer than you think. Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most.
Tonight's Eye on America is about a man who violated the public trust big time. Got caught, then did time. He let a lot of people down. Now he is again seeking a position of power and trust. Wyatt Andrews explains why he just may get it.
Inner city Washington, that part of town the system forgot, is not usually the place to look for a rising political star.
You voted for me?
Until now.
I think he's an asset to the community.
He always has time for the little people.
We love him and we respect him.
Come on, let's dance.
Perhaps unbelievably, the man commanding this respect is Marion Barry, the disgraced ex-con former mayor.
This is my man right here. This is my man.
Marion Barry, got to come back. He's coming back.
Trying to come back at least, not as mayor, but as a city councilman from Ward 8, Washington's poorest.
But I love you. Be strong, be good.
Barry, the man ingrained on the nation's consciousness as the crack-smoking, womanizing mayor, has done his time, says he is clean, and is resurrecting himself to champion the cause of the inner city.
We're tired of being disrespected, aren't we? Now, tired of being neglected and not cared about. But I'm the candidate that's going to do something about that. You know that?
It's a sign of the inner city's desperation that it would want Barry back in office. But in this America, where 1 in 3 young males is in trouble with the law, Barry wouldn't just represent this ward, he would personify it.
I figured I did hear a role model for all teenagers.
He's a role model for teenagers?
Yeah.
A man who
coming back.
A man who did crack, misbehaved in prison, he's a role model?
He coming back. He did his time. He know what he did wrong.
How's everybody?
There are Ward 8s everywhere in America, and I demonstrate that you can have hope. Out here in Ward 8, they need to see hope, that it is possible to overcome your circumstances.
Marion Barry is able to come back in a place like Ward 8 in Washington because it is a place that sees itself as ignored.
The housing is down, the crime is up. People look at us as second-class citizens.
With the national candidates fighting over the suburbs, Barry is one of the only politicians who wanders in where the store clerks sit behind bulletproof glass.
You was on sodas?
You can write him off personally, which may be deserved by Barry, but you cannot write off the phenomenon.
Howard University professor Alvin Thornton.
The phenomenon of people that are coming to him, notwithstanding his personal failings, because they feel he is giving voice to their frustration and their oppression.
It just seems part of American politics that where the mainstream sees a scoundrel, some in the ghetto find their hero. Militant Congressman Gus Savage got 37% of the vote in losing this year, almost all of that from inner-city Chicago.
How you doing?
Controversial activist Al Sharpton is running for the Senate, he says, to motivate New York's dispossessed.
We are being guided by people that have no first-hand knowledge of our feelings, of our dealings, and of our environment.
I'm the only person I know in the city who has not forgotten those guys on the corner.
Those who don't buy into Barry's comeback wonder how he can run against the neglectful system when he was the system for 12 years.
Mr. Barry didn't do anything, as far as I'm concerned, the whole time he was in there.
Part of the answer comes from what he calls the in-your-face vote. For many people who saw his arrest as a trap that would not have been sprung on a white politician, a vote for Barry is payback.
We're not going to allow folk to tell us who our leaders should be.
When Marion Barry wins, we'll show the system that though you may think we're dead, we're not.
When the LA riots happened, mainstream America shook its head, wondering why this anger couldn't be expressed another way. And now, just when mainstream America thought it was done with Marion Barry, his reincarnation rides that wave of anger. In Washington, Wyatt Andrews for Eye on America.
And that's part of our world tonight. Easy Ed Bradley will be along with the season premiere of Street Stories tonight at 8 Central Time. Dan Rather for the CBS Evening News. See you tomorrow. Good night.
Experience CBS News.
Thunder on the right. Will the moral vision of the Republican right affect the way you and your family live? The story tomorrow on the CBS Evening News. This is CBS.